Coming up, the Eels Premiership hopes get electrocuted, Castleford reach the Garden of Eden at St Helens, and Mitch Barnett speedruns a one-on-one strip. Yes, hello, and welcome back to the Sideline Chat podcast, the one-stop shop for rugby league. Along with Mark Hendry, I'm Connor Marcellus, and today, before we even get into your NRL round 22-23 debrief, our thoughts and prayers go out to Andrew Fifita and his family. Of course, last Sunday, Andrew ended up in hospital due to a fractured larynx and a tackle gone wrong, so our best wishes for his full recovery there.
Yes, very much so. Very unfortunate. The injury, and hopefully he recovers very quickly to see him back on a football field soon.
Well, I heard he is expected to make a full recovery, so that's very much good news indeed.
Yes.
Now, on with the show. We bring you your NRL round 22-23 debrief, as I just said, and we begin the Melbourne Storm downing the Canberra Raiders 26-16.
Yes, and it looked like the Raiders will win the full match. Really, it just comes down to the penalty goals that that the Storm got compared to the Raiders. So yeah.
Well, to be fair, the Raiders started out brilliantly. I thought easily Melbourne would have scored the first try. But no, the Raiders it's like, when I saw the Raiders going up 4-0, I was like, okay, this could get interesting.
Yes, very much so. And Bailey Simonson, on his return match, to get a hat-trick and to open the scoring was like, wow, this kid's unbelievable.
But, oh my God. But I tell you what, after that opening try, the Raiders' defense, it just disintegrated.
Yes, they very much
It just ultimately disintegrated. I mean, first, you let the cheese jump from dummy half. That would have been the one thing Ricky Stewart should have been saying at training is, all right, so we got Brandon Smith starting, and he'll probably be on for the first 20 minutes before he gets shifted to the middle. Make sure we keep an eye on him when he jumps out of dummy half. Make sure, or he doesn't pull our pants down or set off the mousetrap.
And the complete opposite happened. He did score.
No, they let him in. You shouldn't have let him in, especially with that nuggety cheese block frame he's got going and for himself at the moment.
Well, yes, he has, and he always has had that.
And then Melbourne's right edge, which has been quiet, and of course we have bagged out in the past defensively because, it is the weaker edge of the Melbourne Storm. Yes. They put it on as well, especially with Dean Iramir's truck. And the Raiders again, defense, where was it?
Non-existent. Like, their defense was poor, and Melbourne dominated pretty much. But then when later on in the match, the Raiders did come back, but not quite enough.
Well, the Raiders pushed it very close in the second half, and to come back from 20-4 down at halftime to be at least 20-16 with probably about 23 minutes to go, it would be very close, but not close enough.
Yeah, well, giving away too many penalties, like, seriously, Pappenhausen got 2 penalty goals in the last 3 minutes.
Yeah,
but what didn't help was the send-off for Corey Harawira-Naera.
All right. We all know that that crackdown on the concussion, the crackdown on the head-high shots is not really being enforced anymore. It's settled down to this point. Was what Corey Harawira-Naera did worthy of a send-off, in your view? Go.
Well, he wasn't going for Jerome Hughes' head. He was going to try and dislodge the ball. So, it was just an unfortunate situation of what happened, and Jerome Hughes was falling at the time of contact, so that probably made it look worse than what it was supposed to be. Maybe at least a sin bin, not a send-off.
Well, I suppose the NRL's judiciary standards are sort of mixed, and we will touch on that shortly. I actually forgot what it looks like. No. I do know, of course, he did it get sent off. And of course, we all know the logic is if you got to think like it's basically you got to think like a referee. If you look at that and you think, it's not that bad, you got to think like the referee. If you're seeing it and it's like contact with the head, swinging arm, like Jack Hetherington clotheslining Valentine Holmes, then yeah, that bloody bugger's off. He's gone. He's not coming back.
Yeah, exactly. But the good thing is, and good sportsmanship is when Harry and I was coming off the field, he went over to Jerome Hughes and apologised to him. He also put out a post on social media
and
as well.
Yeah, I think, of course, he's ultimately remorseful for that, but unfortunately, remorse is not going to save him at the judiciary unit where, the integrity, at the judiciary panel when he's going to get probably blasted for the next month, even if the Raiders do make the finals.
Yeah, and he also said, like, in that thing, it's not his intentions to do that, so, yeah. But that's good on him.
At the end of the day, it's a contact sport, and we all know the rules of the NRL. You make contact with Ed, and you're going to go to the sin bin. If you do it forcibly and it looks very bad, you're going. You're gone.
Exactly. Like, in this case, with Hughes and Harry and I. But, I don't know if that would have played an effect in the last few minutes of the game. Like, the Raiders maybe could have scored those couple of tries to try and be back in front level with Melbourne. But I don't think that would have happened. Melbourne would have just held their defence well and would have rounded out the match due to the defence.
Well, that makes the Melbourne Storm, for them, that's 18 straight games they have now won on the trot.
Yes.
So they've gone past the Canterbury Bulldogs' 2002 record. Well, have you got debate about that? I mean, I would probably question the same thing about whether that should still be counted. It is in official records. So that means if they win next Thursday, and Penrith as well, they did the same thing. And the Sharks' 15-game winning run. But this is my point. They are one win away from equaling Eastern Suburbs. So that's the Sydney Roosters, for all those who didn't know or remember. They are about to equal the Roosters' record from 1975 for 19 straight wins in a regular season.
It's unbelievable. A record that has stood for such a long time could be equaled this upcoming week and could be potentially broken.
Potentially, I think, given that the Storm's next two games are the Eels, who aren't in a good position at the moment, and the Sharks, who are struggling with consistency problems at the moment, I think it's more or less certain that Melbourne will not only break this record, but they will set a new standard that probably no one's ever going to touch. We are realistically looking at a 21-game winning run in the regular season.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And well, even 21 years, sorry, don't get me. I was going to say 22, but no, it's 21.
Yeah.
I just can't math properly.
Yeah, of course. Now, moving on, we have the St. George Illawarra Dragons at Suncorp Stadium going down to the Penrith Panthers 34 points to 16. Now, this is usually my sorry and not sorry moment of the show where I talk to you about what the bloody hell's going wrong with the Dragons.
Well, we were, keyword there, were kind of level with them, but Panthers were just also too good and went on with the show. But I have to say, Amone and some of our young blokes played a brilliant game, especially Amone.
So you think Junior Amone's got a future in the starting side?
Definitely.
Even with Moses Mbai coming into the side now?
Yes. So I think Moses Mbai is a bad signing. I said that with Jack Bird, but Jack Bird proved me wrong. But Mbai, he hasn't been out with injury as often as what Bird has. As often as what Bird has. Mbai hasn't been his best for a long, long time, so that's why
I think
it's a bad signing.
the problem with Moses Mbai is is that he suffered the same problem that Tyrone Peachy for the longest time suffered until he found that it turns out that lock forward is the best position for him. That's the same problem with Moses Mbai. He was tried out as a 5'8" and a halfback. It didn't work out. Fullback, I think, is his strongest position. Then they shifted him off to the centres. And he's also played out of dummy half. So out of all the positions in the back line he's played, apart from wing and front row, and of course elsewhere in the forwards, either as a fullback or as a dummy half is where Moses Mbai is at his strongest.
Yeah, well, we've got I think we'll have our fullbacks down packed for next year. It'll be Ramsey or Tyrell Sloan at fullback next year. And then we'll have McCulloch out of dummy half. So they might be coming off as a bench, either as the utility or as the second dummy half, similar to what Hodgson and Stolen are at the Raiders. Yeah. But the future is looking bright for the Dragons. You've got Amone there, you've got Sullivan for the halves, Sloan at fullback. I mean, there's three, and the Feagai brothers coming through in the back line. So we've got good juniors coming through. Whether they can force their way into the starting side is a wait and see game.
And that will be a topic for another day. Now, getting back to the Panthers, they were gone in the first 10 minutes. They were not in this game. But what happens? No. 2 long-range intercepts from Brett Naden, or one of them was a long-range intercept. And it just completely turned the tables.
Yeah.
I could not believe how far they had turned the tables on this Dragon side, because at one point you were 100% completion rate, you were right up in the Penrith's 20-meter line.
Yes.
And you let them break out.
Yes. No, but I thought the Dragons, that's what I meant by we really gave it to them. Made him, forced him to have errors, which is very unlike Penrith. And we couldn't capitalise on it.
Yeah,
and instead we let them score first.
And they just ran away with it from a 16-6 down at half time. It's 34-16 when all's said and done.
Yeah, exactly. Cleary was back, so he had a massive influence.
I can't speak about that, but honestly, Matt Burton, another stand-up performance for him. 1 try, 2 try assists, 102 running meters, and 5 tackle breaks. Playing out at centre, mind you, but still. Oh, another good performance.
Well, Burton's been playing centres, between centres and halves throughout the season. So even when he has been playing the centres, which is out of his preferred positioning, he's still been playing really, really great football.
Oh, definitely yes. If Trent Barrett can get the best out of him next year, I'm salivating. As a Dogs supporter, I am looking at all these Matt Burton performances and I'm thinking, I just hope he can back it up for next year.
And you got Brent Naden too, who's coming in, who also scored a double.
Yeah, he's been in and out of the side, but I think we might be all right with him too.
Yeah, so he can continue on what he has been doing for Penrith in the last couple of weeks, and what Matt Burton's been doing all season. You pair them up, depending where they play Burton.
You'll be 5/8, nothing sure.
Well, okay. If you put Naden on the same side of the field as what Burton's on, well, then it could be dangerous.
Burton and the Fox. That's the Canterbury left edge. You'll have Addo-Carr, Naden, Burton, and maybe Baitala Mariner when he comes back into the side, depending on how Trent Barrett structures his second row. But that's a good edge. A hell of a good edge to have. Now,
and then you got little Matt Duffy running in and around there as well. So yeah.
Now moving on, the Sydney Roosters. I can't believe I have to say it did happen. I wish to pretend it didn't, but it did. The Sydney Roosters beating the Brisbane Broncos 21-20.
What a game we saw!
That was unbelievable.
I couldn't believe it. Look like the Roosters had scored first through Tedesco, but was denied.
Am I suddenly back in 2000 when the Broncos were actually a good side?
I think so.
Am I seeing
Yeah.
Glenn Lazarus or am I seeing Payne Haas? Oh no, sorry, not. Am I seeing Shane Webke instead of Payne Haas?
Yes.
Or am I
No.
seeing Gordon Tallis instead of Jordan Ricky? Or actually, that's probably not a fair comparison. I don't think Tallis would have been that athletic. But there's on that Jordan Ricky trade. What is it with that southwestern corner and Broncos second rowers this year? Just what is with that corner?
I do not know.
I mean, flashback round 6 against Penrith. You get Pangai Jr. going over that corner with a spectacular dive. And look, nothing much has changed. And you get Jordan Ricky off a similar, not actually, didn't that come off the back? So yeah, similar circumstances. Answers same night. It's still Friday night, but it's several weeks later, and it's just a different opposition. What the hell was that?
I think that southwestern corner is the magnetic draw card for the Broncos at the moment. That's
Well,
where
even without Katoni Staggs, that would have been an automatic draw.
Oh yeah, easy.
Or for them, but
Easy.
oh,
But
you could definitely tell the Broncos were up for it.
oh hell yeah! As I said last week, the Broncos I tipped to win. They almost won, but no. But the Broncos scored, then the Roosters scored, then the Broncos scored, then the Roosters
Trading
scored.
tries, and then it just came down to a matter of penalty goals and field goal attempts.
Well, yes. The one that all sealed the game was that penalty goal from the Roosters.
All right, Victor Radley. A lot of controversy has been going on with Victor Radley at the moment, and taking Albert Kelly's legs out at the attempt at field goal, which gave the Broncos a shot at goal. Oh, with 4 minutes to go. Oh, so Broncos are up 20-19 at this point. Is it fair, with some of the commentary heard, that he was treated a little bit too harshly?
Yes. He wasn't trying to take out Albert Kelly. He was trying to charge down the ball to defend the field goal. That's all it was.
Well, I've got the opposite view. Honestly, I was listening to the radio on Saturday on Triple M, and up here for people living in the Newcastle region. I was listening to Triple M, and I was listening to, I think it was Ryan Girdler, Mark Geyer, and Brent Reed from the Australian talk about how Victor Radley was so hard done by. Oh, give me a break. I felt like I could have David Clemmer stampede me and I'd still hear someone moan about Victor Radley. I mean, just by the definition of the laws of the game, when it comes to charging down field goals, if you take out the legs, it's a penalty right in front. And I think Victor Radley got extremely lucky he didn't get sat down for 10 minutes. Because what was going through my head was, because as a Dogs fan, this story played out before, and we all know how that one ended. It Good Friday 2015. That's how that story ended. James Graham takes out Adam Reynolds' legs with about 10 seconds to go. Oh, Dogs up 17-16 in the grand final rematch on Good Friday. Takes out the legs, penalty goal right in front. Bunnies win 18-17, and then of course the Dogs get screwed over after that. No Graham, no Clemmer, no Brett Morris, and I think I'd have been missing Curtis Rona as well. So I have no sympathy. By the rules of the game, Victor Radley got lucky in contrast to James Graham.
Well, okay. I know taking out the legs is dangerous, but that's what wasn't his intention was. His intention was to charge down the ball, but that failed.
It did.
Like you said, he was also lucky as well to not get sin binned as well. It was only just like a penalty. So, yeah, it's kind of 50-50.
But other than that, I think the Roosters got very lucky, especially with that penalty goal at the end and the clutch kick from Adam Kieran.
Yeah.
Wow, just
If he missed that kick,
clutch.
Broncos would have won that.
It was clutch. That was like 20-19 at that point. He kicks it, and the Roosters walk away 21-20, jump into the top 4 with all the drama they've had. We know we've been going on about this, but we're still going to keep talking about it. It's just unbelievable.
With their season Roosters had, to win by that 1 point, you could tell that they've still got players in their team that can do clutch plays such as Adam Kieran kicking that penalty goal.
It's just mind-boggling to see how well the Roosters are travelling.
And that as well.
And the fact that they can still get better, especially next year, things are still looking up for the Chooks.
Oh, definitely. They'll be up there again next year like they have done in the past decade, maybe 12 so years.
Now, speaking of teams that are in good form at the moment, the Rabbitohs downing the Gold Coast Titans 36 points to 6. Oh, we saw this one coming, didn't we?
Yes, definitely.
Even with David Fifita, any average punter could see this one oncoming. The way South Sydney have been playing ever since round 12 against Parramatta, this is what they are. Yeah. Round 12 against Parramatta, after coming off that hiding to Penrith 56 to 12, they are just flying. Even without regulars like Campbell Graham. And Josh Mansour, he's enjoying life again.
He is.
And at South.
When he first signed there, I thought, he's not going to get much game time. But he's had a lot more game time than when I first prepared, but only because he's filling in for injuries.
Well, he was starting. Then he lost his form, got replaced by Paulo, and then circumstances regarding Alex Johnston's injury. He's just back in, and then it's just gone from there. But the left edge of the Rabbitohs, this has to be the best left edge in the whole of the NRL. When you got Latrell Mitchell all scoring within the first 5 minutes, then you got Mansour and Braden Burns both adding doubles on.
Yes.
Was Burns playing on the left hand side, or was that Dan Gagai still? Oh no, yeah, it was Burns because Tane Milne was in the centres.
Yes, he was. And Gagai
But the
was out.
Titans' right edge, oh god, they did not stand up well at all.
No.
No,
They
at all.
certainly did not.
And held out defensively for an hour and 5 minutes as the Rabbitohs run in 5 tries.
Yeah. The Rabbitohs are just way too classy for him. And like you said, we all saw this coming. And with Fifita coming off the bench, we thought, this will be a changing point, like, whenever he gets injected into the game.
Because he's safe from the opening barrage. Like, you get Tom Burgess, Cam Murray, and Jai Arrow. They're taking all the hits. It's 20 minutes, and it's straight up in the first 20 minutes because they're at a starting forwards. And then you bring on David Fifita, one of the game's best back row talents, and it's just like, oh shit, here we go. He's come on. He could potentially earn the game on its head. And he has done that in the past, but he just couldn't do it here.
No, he could not at all. I think South would have known that from what they've seen from the Titans in the video session earlier in the week coming into this match, and they thought, all right, when he comes on, we need to try and shut him down, and they ultimately did do that.
Well, they didn't do that. The Titans didn't even touch the ball. I mean,
that too.
They rarely got within touching distance of the ball, so that just highlights the domination the Rabbitohs have enjoyed in possession.
Well, overall, the Titans had 44% possession compared to Rabbitohs 56%, but that wasn't enough ultimately.
No, nowhere near enough, and it is a reflection of just how good Souths are. And Cody Walker, I mean, personally, it's a mix. For me, it's a mixed view of Cody Walker, but it's about things that are not permitted to discuss on this channel.
Yes.
Which is political. I'm not doing that here. But anyway,
No.
just looking at Walker on the field, 153 running meters, 3 try assists, 4 tackle breaks, 1 offload. What more can you say about that outstanding performance?
Nothing really, because it was an outstanding performance from him and the whole side as well. Don't get me wrong.
Especially that left edge.
Yeah.
Especially. Now, from the North in Townsville, the West Tigers putting some form together late, downing the Cowboys 24 points to 16.
What a finish we have
That
I cannot believe that finish that game could have happened to.
that was just crazy.
It came down to that missed penalty goal. If that penalty goal was successful, man, that was game on.
What did we watch? Just I don't think you can translate what the hell happened.
The Tigers, they were up to 24-6. 24-6 and they blew it. Well, they still won.
Yeah, just
but
they barged their way through the Cowboys' middle. First with Tukamanu, and then Kalmatalagi off the back of, I think, another debutant in that Tigers sub. I don't just going to double check the team list now. I'm pretty sure it might have been Simpkins to Talagi. Because I know the Cowboys did have their own debutants in Jeremiah Nanai and Griffin Neem. That was the Cowboys' first try. Neem to Nanai. When they were already trailing 12 points to 6. But that was just crazy.
That was.
Crazy. The work the Tigers did through the middle, and of course capitalizing on the fact that there was no Taumalo Olo for this game.
No.
And this was a get square for round 5. This was a dead set get square.
Yes, except this one didn't really have... It did have significance because the Tigers are in a chance of making the finals, but the more significance was earlier on in the season when they met. But if the Tigers hadn't let the Cowboys come back as they did, it would have helped the forehand against, which could pay difference between them missing the finals again and making the finals.
But don't get me wrong, the Cowboys could have easily pulled the clutch, especially after Luke Brooks got sin bin with 3 minutes to go.
Well, yes, that is true.
But again, Tom Dearden is just not the right fit for North Queensland.
No.
I mean, how many games has he won for the Cowboys since he joined? I believe that still counts at a duck egg.
Yes, I think you are correct. I think I mentioned that last week as well. And it was 0. So
ever since joining the Broncos, he has not won a single game for the Cowboys. And with Chad Townsend coming, he better pull something out soon. Because the way I see it, it's Drinkwater Townsend first up.
You can lock it in. 100% lock that in now.
And finally, of our Super Saturday coverage, we have the Manly Sea Eagles downing the Parramatta Eels 56 points to 10.
That was an absolute killer.
A disaster. For the Eels, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's just they let Tom Trbojevic roam free. That's the last thing you want to do when you're playing Manly. You don't want to give Tom Trbojevic even a meter to move, because you give him that, he'll just... I think it was with Dylan Walker's try. He just sailed through. There was this big gap on the Parramatta left edge that opened up, and he's just like, Tommy's there. He's just like, oh yeah, mate, this is too good. Bang, gone. And then there was just the support runners coming through after that.
No. Get this. Manly activated 18th man of Moses Sully. What does he do? Scored 2 tries.
He's not even on the field for 5 minutes, and he's already bagged a double.
Yeah.
Bagged a double inside 5 minutes. That's probably... Moses Sully Supercoach fans are probably thinking, holy shit, this bloke's just gone nuclear.
Yeah, and as 18th man. Unbelievable.
What was more unbelievable about that was Ruben Garrick. Because now, not only is he the NRL's leading point scorer for this year, but now he is the leading points. He has got the most points in a single season for Manly since 1995, breaking Matt Ridge's record. And the scary thing is, it's not over. Manly could still score. I mean, tries count as points as well. So realistically, Ruben Garrick could become the first Manly player to record 300 points in a season.
Yeah.
The first one.
The rate this season he's been playing is unbelievable.
And you look at this Manly side, Moses Sully outcast the West Tigers. Saab and Garrick outcasted St. George Illawarra. Alright, Dylan Walker just flown up and down at the Rabbitohs, and then of course he ends up there, 5'8", centre, 5'8" again. Now he's found himself as a middle forward.
Yes.
And then you get the influence of Tom Trbojevic, and this is and I'm sorry to say, I'm going to disappoint people, but he didn't play at his best.
Tom Trbojevic, no, he didn't.
No. This is not what you define as his best. He was a stand-up regardless, but he was below par. This is 1 try, 4 try assists, 187 run meters, 5 tackle breaks and offload. That's not good enough.
Well, it wasn't the win, but he has performed a lot better than what he has.
I'm expecting Tom Trbojevic every week. I'm expecting 3 tries, 3 try assists, 300 running meters, double the amount of tackle breaks, and probably 2 offloads. This is I know I'm taking the piss, but this was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
I'm sorry, but even this is a low. If this is the definition of a poor performance for Tom Trbojevic at this point in time, especially this year. This is crazy. If he's got his hand in half of the tries Manly has scored, and this is what we call poor, I don't want to know what it is at his best.
Yeah, exactly. Now, here's some interesting stats, and I'm sorry, Connor, this is going to put the Bulldogs to shame.
Here we go.
Manly's back three, Trbojevic, Sub, and Garrick have scored 54 tries between those 3 players all season, while the Bulldogs' total from the whole squad is 45.
Yep.
That proves how well they're going.
Yep.
Plus, Ruben Garrick, his individual points is up to 240 points. And for the Dogs, their season total so far is 258. So there's some impressive stats. And I'm sorry, Dogs fans, and to you, Connor, but speaking of Manly, you can prove how dominant that they've been because of them stats.
Not to mention the fact you mentioned Tom Trbojevic, Ruben Garrick, and Jason Saab. They're also in the. You look at the top 5 try scorers at the moment. 3 of them are Manly players.
Saab, Trbojevic,
Yep.
Garrick.
Yep, Garrick and Saab both have 20 tries each. Tom Trbojevic is on 19. The Fox is on 21. And then you got Alex Johnston, who hasn't played the last couple of weeks. 24 tries.
Yeah.
So you got South first, you got Johnston first, Adokar second, Garrick and Saab equal third, and then Tom Trbojevic running 5th. And 3 of them are from the same club.
Yeah. It's unbelievable where Manly are now compared to where they were at the start of the season.
It is absolutely crazy. This was a side that ran 0-4. Now are on the cusp of the top 4.
Yeah.
And realistically, they could still make the top 4. But results have to go their way to get there.
Well, ultimately, yes, but
And given their run home is the Raiders, Canterbury, and the Cowboys, they got to hope the Roosters lose at least 2 of their clashes, and Manly win. All 3 of them, which I think they'll easily do. But, God.
Well, we never know. We thought the Raiders were going to lose against Manly and Brookfire earlier this year, and look what happened there, so... But anyway.
Manly are much better since that point.
Well, yes.
Hell of a
that was
lot.
only a few weeks ago.
Now, the Redcliffe double at Dolphin Stadium, or Moreton Daily as it's known by its sponsor. First, the New Zealand Warriors downing the Canterbury Bulldogs 24 points to 10.
Can I say, Josh Curran had a brilliant game.
I agree. I think he had
brilliant
he was
game.
in everything from word go. 1 try assist for Wade Egan, I think it was, 175 running meters, and 4 tackle breaks.
Try 6 was to Joseph Unger too, by the way.
But I'll tell you what, the Dogs did at least make the game competitive, as they usually do when they lose. The intercept try from Aaron Schopp was a massive surprise.
Yes.
I'm just thinking, what the hell happened with the Warriors there?
Yeah, that wasn't normal Warriors
And then
but
you would have thought the momentum swung when Jaden Ockenborg dies over in the corner right on the halftime siren.
you think so?
Look, the error count didn't help against us, and even with the lone E players of Ryan James and Corey Horsburgh, they didn't change anything.
Not this week. There's still got another week to go, don't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But the Warriors just they hung on. They did get lucky with the try to Falakiku Manu being denied due to a player being taken off the ball in the lead up.
That was disappointing to see, though. It would have been good to see that Manu got that try,
but at the end of the day, the goals, Reece Walsh brought the team home, especially with the way that link-up play between Harris Tavita and Walsh.
Yeah.
They brought it home. And there's all the talk about who's going to be the best coach of the year. I mean, of course, I've endorsed Trent Robinson for coach of the year because of just how much adversity the Roosters have thrived under. Nathan Brown could easily be another worthy contender with the way the Warriors have been playing.
Well, even Des Hasler can throw in too, considering where they were at the start of the season. There was talks about Hasler not being coach.
Fat chance of him getting sacked now.
Yeah, I was going to say, when Burnley were at the start, there was talks about him getting sacked, but he's turned that around quick.
I said at the beginning of the year, Manly would probably be in the contention for the 8, but they'll probably fall off at the back end. I can easily see they're not falling away. No way.
They're in contention for top 4 now, so...
Yeah, but I did believe Manly would get better from what we saw to begin with.
Yes.
Especially after 0-4.
Yeah. But the Warriors, they're on a bit of a run at the moment. They've won 3 on the trot, I believe. Yes, they beat the Tigers and they beat the Sharks.
And they beat the Dogs.
So, yes.
And speaking of the Sharks, that's a brilliant segue. Going down to the Newcastle Knights, 16 points to 14. Well. What a clash we had here.
Mate, I cannot believe the game that we saw here. Chawala, 34 seconds into the match.
I mean, that is easily the fastest try for the year in the NRL, but it's not the fastest try of all time. Of course, we all know who holds the record for the fastest try of all time.
Yes.
Yep. 7 seconds. You can't beat 7 seconds. And so, Tawala's no Ben Crooks right now. But he tried his damn well best to emulate Crooks.
Yes. I'll tell you what, Jake Clifford, he took complete control of that game for the Knights.
Oh, he did, yeah.
Like I said last week, since he's come to Newcastle,
he's thrived. He has ultimately thrived, and the fact that he's actually got game time with Mitchell Pearce has also helped Newcastle's cause.
Exactly.
But when you're dealing with tackle busters like Jesse Ramian, and of course the Sharks left edge, that they got that nice little connection for Ronaldo Mulatalo.
Yeah.
They still have a bit of a way to go though, Newcastle.
They do, but you can tell signs are improving.
And of course, Mitch Barnett with that. How did he pull off that one-on-one steal from Trindle? I think it was. How did he do that?
Honestly, do not know.
It was just like 1 minute, I think it was either Trindle or Blake Brayley. They're looking to break through the line. They're coming to Barnett, and then just like, yeet! Just scoops it up and starts running the other way. And it's like, damn!
But, back onto Newcastle, things are looking better, but they'll have to deal without Connor Watson. Because he's signed with the Roosters.
From next year.
From next year, yes.
I heard he even took less money to go back to the Roosters.
Yes.
Turned down the bigger money at Newcastle, so...
But in other news, which I've just seen...
I already knew about it. I could have said something, but I thought...
Yeah.
Well, not really appropriate for the moment.
Anyway, just quickly while we're talking about Newcastle, they are going to set to sign Adam Clune.
Well, nothing wrong with a bit of depth and a Mitchell Pearce contingency plan for the post-Mitchell Pearce era at Newcastle.
Yeah. Apparently, Phil Rothfield has tweeted said he's close to being confirmed.
You know, he still hasn't answered my question that I asked him. I suppose he gets a lot of shit on Twitter, so he probably doesn't see. This one bloke that asked him about whether or not what the talk is about potential or Trans-Tasman test match at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But you never know. Things might change.
Yes.
Now.
Also, while we're speaking about the Sharks, apparently the surgeon doing Andrew Fifita's surgery or procedure has been successful.
Yeah, I did say at the top of the hour he is expected to make a full recovery.
Yes. But yeah, that's still good to hear that. Indeed.
Now, starting off with round 23, we're on the Gold Coast with the Titans hosting the reigning premiers as the Melbourne Storm. A couple of changes. Brandon Smith, Al Finucane and Jerome Hughes are either out with injury or they're being rested up. So Ryan Pappenhausen is moved into the starting line at full back. Nico Hines shifts to 5'8" with Marion Seve. Long time since he's played a game for Melbourne. He's been recalled into the centres. Harry Grant starts in the pack at dummy half with Chris Lewis moving to lock forward. Jordan Grant, fresh off a new contract, joins Tapai Maroa, Cooper Johns, and Tom Heisenhoof all on the bench.
And for the times there have been changes with Jaden Campbell at fullback. Jamal Fogarty is back into the halves alongside Ash Taylor, which is no surprise there, considering how well Toby Sexton has been playing. Phil Sammy is amongst the reserves. It could be a late inclusion. Dave Fifita has been named to start again, but could go back to the bench.
We all have to anticipate that he will move to the bench come game day or an hour before kickoff.
Yeah, AJ Brimson is unlikely to play again this year because the other one's surgery.
I think the word is he has been ruled out for the rest of the year.
Well, there you go. I think that's pretty much unchanged besides Campbell at fullback and Fogarty back in the halves. And Phil Sammy on the reserves list. Peachy's utility again. So
well, it's a bit unfortunate that Toby Sexton misses out with the return of Jamal Fogarty. But I tell you what, Jaden Campbell, in the limited game time we saw, Campbell's a promise.
He is. Yeah. And I was going to say, with the retirement of Anthony Don, but Anthony Don didn't really play fullback. It's more AJ Brimson that's the fullback side.
But even so, with the Don's retirement, they've got some decent backs with wingers like Greg Marju and Corey Thompson there.
Yeah.
And of course, Philip Sami's still floating around.
Yes, I know Greg Marzu's going to be around for a couple more years with his contract extension. So, no, things are looking good for the Titans. But I reckon now that Fifita will go back to the bench come an hour before kickoff. There you go.
Well, losing Jerome Hughes, this is sort of a strategy from the Melbourne Storm, and I think they're looking at the bigger games against, probably the Eels next week, and of course, week 1 of the finals when they have to either face Manly or the Roosters. So they're looking at the bigger games, and I think they are. This was sort of like what they were doing last year, but they didn't have much success. I think against this Gold Coast side, now they got Pappenhausen, Hines, and Grant all in the starting lineup. I think they'll take the Titans on in the middle of the field, and this will be the second time that Big Tino comes up against his former side, where he still holds that premiership. But overall, I'm looking at the Storm side. I think they will throw a lot at Ash Taylor. Let's really try and test him out defensively, and they'll try and limit the amount of impact David Fifita has on the game. I got to call this. It's a Storm 13+ victory.
Well,
even without Hughes and the Cheese. And Finucane as well. But yeah, Melbourne win 13+.
Well, Melbourne, they've got Pappenhausen back at fullback, so he'll be playing 80 minutes. Munster and Hines in the halves, so that's an interesting combination, but at least it gives Hines good practice into the halves heading to Cronulla next year. And then Harry Grant, he'll be play 90 minutes, no doubt as well. It's a good-looking spine. Don't get me wrong. From Pappenhausen, like everyone knows what spine is, but it's looking very good. I'm going to say Storm to win by. I'm going to say 30. Titans, if they put a performance like what they did last week against South Sydney, they're going to be nowhere. So Storm by 30.
All right. Now, as part of our Suncorp Stadium doubleheader, it starts off with the Canberra Raiders hosting the Manly Eagles. Now, of course, Brad Parker was knocked out in that clash again against the Eels. So Moses Suli, after bagging a double inside of 5 minutes, he's been lifted to start in the centres. Is alongside Morgan Harper. Tom Trbojevic is still named at this point. I think they said he was actually okay to continue. And apart from that, I think there is one other change with Kurt DeLuey dropping back to the reserves with Toa Foa Sipley returning on the bench.
Yes. With the Canberra side, Shana's Nicole Klukstad is back in jersey number 14 on the bench, as Ricky Stewart indicated last week and as we mentioned last week. So that's going to be a massive inclusion for him. Also, he'll be injected in and start off, get eased back into it all. Matt Frawley is also onto the bench alongside Gura and Soliola, I should say. Tom Starling is out, and Hodoriro is also out. And I think it's pretty much unchanged.
And no Jared Croker either, so Sebastian Chris is in the centres with Matt Tomoko.
Yes. Whilst Croker, has he had injured?
I believe so.
Yeah. Well, I think, with Sully coming in to replace Brad Parker, there's a very handy replacement to have.
Oh, yeah. It definitely is.
And like you mentioned, scoring 2 tries in under 5 minutes.
And we got to remember, Moses Suli was one of the first choice centres at Manly before Morgan Harper has kept him out of the side. All right, so now you got Harper on one side, you got Suli on the other side, and not to mention that left edge of Manly, you got Garrick on his outside, and then you got Foran and Schuster on his inside.
Very handy left side, you said? Yeah,
yep.
Very handy left side indeed.
And Suli is a tackle-busting machine on his own. Just shade to the 2019 semi-final when he was basically taking on the whole South's left edge. Standing up, I think Gagai, he was standing up, I think maybe Alex Johnson, he stood up as well. But he was a beast. And he still is a beast. He just hasn't had the opportunities this year due to the form of others.
Yes.
So
hopefully he can show good form and maybe try and keep his spot in. Not saying Brad Parker is a bad player.
Underrated.
He's been underrated, but if Sterling performs well, Parker will be hard to find and get back in.
I think the Raiders have been exposed down their left side pretty badly. You look at some of the games they've played against some of the top sides, they've taken the Raiders' left edge apart, and I think with Saab, Harper, Olakawatu, and Cherry Evans. Then you got to remember Tom Trbojevic is sniffing around the middle of the field. You're going to be looking. They're going to be going right. I think most of the time, and then they'll give if everyone on the left hand side. I just don't think the Raiders' defense will stand up to the task here.
Fair enough.
No way. I think now that they got is it a risk playing Tom Trbojevic? Yes, I do believe it is. But if they say he's fit, then he's fit. What more can you say about that? This is Manly winning 13 plus again.
I'm going to make a couple of bold predictions here. I reckon they're going to rule Trbojevic out 24 hours from kickoff and put Dylan Walker in a fullback just to play a second Tom Trbojevic. And also, I'm going to say that Bailey Simonson will go to fullback an hour from kickoff and put Rapana back on to the win.
Pretty old call right there.
They'll keep Cookstad on the bench just to be easy back in. But I'm still going to say Manly to win by 20.
Now, moving on to the second part of the Suncorp doubleheader, and this could be a tasty clash. The Penrith Panthers up against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. The Rabbitohs have made a couple of changes with Braden Burns and Jackson Paulo dropping out. Alex Johnston is back in the side, as is Campbell Graham. So the Rabbitohs' first choice backline is now all together, with Josh Mansour shifting to the right. And I think those are the only changes made, apart from Blake Taaffe being added to the reserves again, and Jaime Sele joining the bench.
Pretty much.
With Tane Milne also going back to the reserves, I should say that.
For Panthers, James Fisher-Harris and Fifita Pangai Jr. have all been listed into the reserves, so we never know what could happen. Scott Sorensen and Jermaine Hopgood are the two players likely to depart the side if those two are playing. Kurt Capewell is back, pushing Isaac Targo to the reserves. Jermaine Salmon is also out of the side. Kikau is playing. Brent Naden stays on the wing. I think that's pretty much unchanged.
This is going to be the clash of the year.
No doubt
The
about it.
genuine clash of the year. On one side, you've got the Penrith Panthers, who have managed to maintain their standards that they set at the beginning of last year, against the South Sydney side that is red hot. And I mean red hot.
And they're full strength.
And they're full strength, the Bunnies. Yeah, they are practically full strength. In this game.
Yeah. No, it's honestly, it's a clash of the round.
Oh, it is. It is a clash of the round. And I would expect there, at least, I think, as much as they allow, I think there could be at least 25,000 people turning up for this game at Suncorp Stadium.
Oh, easy. Johnson will be trying to look to extend his try scoring.
I think he's still chasing after, I think it was it Nathan Merritt for the try scoring records he was chasing after for bagging 30 tries in a year?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a lot.
What to do in 3 games left in the season.
And the Ken Irvine medal
he
is
can
just,
still do it.
it's gotten competitive. So he's got, but that left edge of the Bunnies, they'll be looking hard to target Liam Martin and Nathan Cleary, because Cleary is only 1 game back after being ruled out with that shoulder. So they're definitely going to be looking to test Cleary defensively there. And I think that's where they can break him open.
Yeah, I'd say so as well.
But this is not going to be a try score fest. We like to pretend it is, but I think this time around, the Rabbitohs are going to put on probably the defensive display of the year. I'm going to say the Rabbitohs win 1-12.
I reckon it's going to be a try scoring fest. Like, when you got Crichton out wide, Naden out wide, Burton there, Johnston, Graham, and the like. There's going to be plenty of tries. My prediction is Rabbitohs is going to win by a 2-point field goal by Adam Reynolds.
Oh, you're calling...
A 2-point field goal by Adam Reynolds with 2 minutes left on the clock.
All right. But we both agree the Rabbitohs could take them.
Yeah.
Now, moving up to Rockhampton at Brown Park is the West Tigers and the Cronulla Sharks. Of course, there is no Andrew Fifita after fracturing his larynx against Newcastle, and Aidan Tolman has also been ruled out. So Tague Wilton is lifted to the bench with Braden Hamlin-Uele switching places with, dropped back to the bench, I believe. If Toby Rudolph moves into the front row with CSC Fatalakai back in the second row and Jack Williams at lock forward. And Marweni Hiroti is also in the centres. But Will Chambers, interestingly enough, has been named in the reserves for Josh Hannay's side.
As well as Matt Moylan.
And Matt Moylan, yes.
For the Tigers, Tom Mao would need to... I think he's been named. Yes, James Taylor has been named but needs to pass a fitness test for his foot. injury that he picked up last week. James Roberts is back. It could be a late starter. And if he does play, Michael Cheekham will be out.
Or back to the bench.
Sorry. Okay, back to the bench following the straight swap. Sean Bloor is starting up front. Jake Simpkin again is the hooker. Embire's at fullback, as what he has been for a while now. Julian Brooks also halves.
Well, I hope, for the sake of the people of Rockhampton, they actually get a game of rugby league after the events that surrounded, I believe, was it round 20? And the snap lockdown decision that basically threw the NRL into disarray. So I hope for their sake they finally get a game up at Rockhampton.
I'd say they will. The first competitive game.
First premiership match.
Yes.
I'm looking at these two sides on paper at the moment. On paper, it tells me that the Sharks win. But we got to look at on the field. And at the moment, I got to say, the West Tigers, for all their inconsistency, I think they are the better side going into this game at the moment. And we all know what happens with close losses, that you don't necessarily back up with all that emotion that went into it.
Yes, that's very true.
For me, Ken Mamalo, since joining from the Warriors, he's had a good try-scoring run.
He has. He's kind of found his form that he was in before.
He has had an unbelievable try-scoring run at the Tigers. That has been absolutely good. And of course, you got the likes of Oitoka Manu, who are just laying that platform that even makes Luke Brooks look good.
Yes, that's true.
And I tell you what, I've actually been watching the Tales from Tiger Town documentary series that they got on Fox Sports at the moment.
So have I, yes.
And I got to tell you, we're going to be looking back on later episodes up to this point, and we're going to be thinking, damn, the Tigers are coming good.
Yeah. No.
I don't know how the Sharks respond to that, and I think the Tigers, after holding on against the Cowboys, they're feeling pretty good at the moment. And I would be going at Marweni Hiroti down on the Tigers' right side. I think he hasn't had much time at centre. He's more or less been used as a winger. So I think that'll be the weak link in the chain the Tigers will go up after, and I think Adam Dewey will kick him into a corner, and the Tigers to come away 1-12 winners.
Well, Jake Simpkin, he's been playing real good at dummy half without Little being there. I'd say Dewey will steer the side around like he has done for a while. Leilua has been playing brilliantly as of late as well. So is Alex Twile. I'm going to say Tigers will win by 8 points. It's going to be a close match.
It definitely will be. Now, moving up back to the Gold Coast for another doubleheader, it's the Canterbury Bulldogs playing host to the Newcastle Knights. Now, of course, there is no Daniel Safiti and there is no Tyson Frizzell for the Newcastle Knights. So David Clemmer will start for Newcastle alongside Jacob Safiti in the front row. Brodie Jones comes in for the injured Tyson Frizzell. With Josh King, Melbourne-bound Josh King, joining the bench alongside Jariah Momosia and Chris Randall, with Simi Sasagi pushed back to the bench alongside the likes of Jack Jones, Basami Solo, and Phoenix Crossland.
The Dogs, there have been changes. Carl Flanagan is in the side yet again for I don't know how many times this season. So Bailey beyond the auto is on the bench. I'm also seeing by Corey Horsburgh and Joe Stimson, who's back in the side after a while, I believe. Jake Avarillo is on one side. Flanagan, Nick Meaney will need to go through concussion protocols. Corey Allen is back on deck as well. You got Manu back onto the reserves. As Allen is back. Luke Thompson is up front with Jackson Tolpany at dummy half, as Jeremy Marshall King is out. Sione Katoa is also out, so I think that puts Ockenball on the wing.
Yep, Ockenball will be on the left wing.
Yep. And Ryan James is also in the up front, and I think that's pretty much the same as last week.
I think we both know where this one is going, right?
Yeah.
But look, Thompson makes the Dogs competitive again with more forward aggression. It's just a matter of keeping him on the field, and we do get Dylan Napa and Jack Hebrington back next week because James and Horsburgh will go back to Canberra. But the rate Canterbury have been going, and they've been busting their guts, but they just... And against Newcastle, I think this is going to be a repeat of round one. I think even if the Dogs try and throw everything they can at this Newcastle Knights side, the Knights will just come out on top of them poorly. I think, especially down our right side defensively. That's the weaker side. Bradman Best, Anari Tuwala, Jake Clifford, and Kalen Ponga will be causing all kinds of trouble for us. And I think the Knights run away with this 13 the plus.
Well, the biggest losses are Daniel Sophie and Tyson Brazil, no doubt about that. But you have to look at pretty much the back line and the spine for the Knights, especially like Tuwala. He's been playing brilliantly. He's on a bit of a try scoring streak. How's Kyle Flanagan got to go yet again? Get another shot. First grade, have to wait and see, and if we have to wait and see too if Nick Meaney plays or not, because that could be reshuffled closer to game day. I'm going to say the Knights win by 16.
That just pretty much sums up the Dogs here when it's easy just to say, yeah, they're not going to win. Now, as part of the Gold Coast doubleheaders, out of here, we've got the Parramatta Eels coming up against the North Queensland Cowboys. The Cowboys suffer a couple of losses. Debutant Griffin Neem and Kaneli Umaelu drop out of the side for Todd Payton. Jake Granville chosen to be named at centre alongside Ajan Arce, with the big inclusions of Jason Taumalolo and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow on the bench, and Ruben Cotter also named for the Cowboys for the first time since round 5.
Wow. Big time since he's last has played. What have we got? We've got Will Penasini in at centre in place of
Opacek,
yes. Wanda Blake's also the understatement. Hayes Dunsters on the wing, along with Mike Stevo on the other wing. Isaiah Papali'i is still up front. Joey Lussick is still hooker. Nero Corey's up in the second row. Nathan Brown's at lock. Will Smith is on the bench alongside Cartwright, Kafusi, and Makatoa. Michael Oldfield has dropped out of the side, as well as Ryan Madison, and as we already said, Tom Opacek.
Look, I know I was bagging the Eels out, and they have not been in the best headspace, and you listen to these things that there might have been a bit of division in the hotel that they're staying at, like some of these, these status sort of issues they got with players, as who's got the better hotel room, families being crammed in the small or confined spaces for days on end, and then it's just spilt out on the field. Not to mention the contract talks with Clint Gutherson for a time had almost stalled it for them, so it hasn't gone out. Brad Arthur has suggested that the players take a day off just to think about where they are at mentally. Many would think that this is an upset. This is an easy win for the Cowboys. Well, to the people who say that, you are right, entitled to think that. But have you seen the rate the Cowboys are going?
Yeah, pretty much kind of the same as Parramatta as of late, really.
No, the difference between Parramatta and North Queensland was that Parramatta are still a gun side, badly out of form, admittedly, but the Eels have been competitive in the early stages. It has been mid-June since 8 May since the Cowboys last had a win. Since then, 50 points to 18 against Manly, lost. 38-0 against Newcastle, lost. 46-18 lost to South. Beaten by the Broncos of all teams, beaten by the Titans. And they have not won, and from round 14 all the way to round 22, they have not had a win for the last 2 months. They got an outformed Parramatta, they got St George Illawarra, and they got the Manly Sea Eagles to play. I'm going to give you know what? I am actually going to give the Eels the benefit of the doubt here. I think if they can click into gear, the left edge will get going again, as especially with the way Walker Blake was playing, and he was one of the standouts for the Eels in a very badly beaten side. I'm going to be either one who thinks outside the box, and I say the Eels come away 1-12 victors. I think it won't be a pretty win, but I think they will find some resolve, they'll be refreshed, and they can do a job on the Cowboys.
No, I agree with you. I think Parramatta will win, purely because they have been a better team. I know they've been a bit shaky as of late, but they have been a better team than what the Cowboys have been in the last while, you could say. And like I said, they haven't had a win for like a month since Tom Dearden's joined, so I'm going to say the Eagles will lead by 6.
And now, finally, on Sunday, we're back at the Clive Burkhofer Stadium in Toowoomba with the St George Illawarra Dragons playing host to the Sydney Roosters. Of course, no Victor Radley after he took out the legs of Albert Kelly. So Isaac Liu will be named to start in the second row with Ben Thomas added to the bench. And Jared Warrior-Hargreaves is back in the lineup, starting in the front row in the only couple of changes with now Fahu White back to the reserves.
Okay, have a guess, folks. The Dragons have made changes yet again for their side. McCulloch is out, Blake Laurie is out, and Gerard Beale is out. So, you have got Matt Duffy in at fullback, with Matt Fairguy and Michaeli Ravalawa on the wings, and Jack Bird and Zach Lomax in the centres. Amone and Corey Norman is in the halves, with Corey Norman moving to the halfback. At lock, we have got Tarek Sims. In the second row, got Billy Burns, who needs to pass protocols for concussion, and Ferry Mayona with Cade Ellis and Jack DeBellin up front, and Josh McGuire is that dummy with the bench being Jaden Sullivan, Josh Kerr, Daniel Alvaro, and Jackson Ford, and reserves Adam Clune, Bum Silly, Jaden Hunt, and Jordan Pereira. Finally, Griffin has put Matt Duffy back in.
Is he going to turn things around?
Well, he's going to put hopefully more points on the board than what we have had in the past.
The problem with St George Illawarra at the moment is their defence, especially when it comes to the long-range tries and mainly just the long-range tries. And defensively, they have not been up to scratch in recent weeks.
No, the Dragons' last win was a nail-biter win against the Warriors, 19-18, and then barbecue gate, and then that's when it's gone shithouse.
Since that point,
Yes.
look, the Roosters are no far. They are the better side, but they are not playing like the better side, considering that they were only able to squeak home against the Brisbane Broncos on the final minute. So the Roosters are still a little bit vulnerable, but they are still leagues in front of St George Illawarra.
Easy.
I would be looking to try and frustrate Ravawala out of the game, so he does something stupid and maybe gives off another high shot after we try and rush him in defence. And Corey Norman, I just think if the Roosters go at Corey Norman for all game, just go at him defensively and jam it on him just mainly all defensive work. Because I don't think he can manage this game. Just put the pressure on him, frustrate the Dragons' kicking game, and then let James Tedesco take over from there. I think the Roosters get away with this 1-12.
Well, if I was coach of the Dragons, I would put Sullivan and Amone as the halves. Simple as. Norman here has not been up to scratch. He's going to be leaving. And we are desperately missing Ben Hunt as well, because he's been playing good this year. And McCulloch is going to be big out as well. Who knows? Sullivan will probably come on and replace Norman at some stage during the game. And the Roosters, as we mentioned, with the season that they've had, they're going to win like ins and outs and chopping and changing. I reckon the Roosters will win by 14.
So you're calling a Roosters 13-plus win?
Yeah.
All right. And finally, the Brisbane Broncos at home to the Newsy and Warriors. The Warriors have had at a couple of wins. Dallin Wateni's Lesniak is back on the wing in for Nathan Brown. So Edward Cossey will jump back to the interchange, and he is joined by Chad Townsend there. Meanwhile, Barry Sirenen returns at lock forward, and Jazz Tavunga goes back to the bench.
For the Broncos, Albert Kelly has been declared a serious injury, but is in some doubt with ongoing, soreness. But he is named alongside Anthony Milford, so another half combination yet again. Danny Levi will be monitored, and he has been named, so we'll have to wait and see if he happens or not. Herbie Farnworth has been named to come back into the side, with David Mead dropping to extended bench. Tyson Gamble is out, and Xavier Willison is out for the season after picking up, I think it was an ACL injury. Hetherington stays at lock. And I'd say he could be moved to hooker if Levi doesn't play.
Well, Jake Turpin's in the side, so it could be interesting to see how that goes out. If
true.
Levi is unavailable, whether Turpin comes in or not.
But I could always put Turpin on the bench.
Or, I tell you what, there is a mouth-watering front row battle right here. On one hand, you have the captain, Adam Fanua-Blake, up against the Broncos' hard man, Payne Haas.
Yes.
This will be a good battle.
It is. And we don't do this very often, but I'll say now the odds are just in favour of the Warriors. Just. By like 10 cents.
And I think this will be the first time that Reece Walsh actually comes up against the Broncos, is it not?
I think it is too.
I'm actually going to double check to be certain, because, of course, there's a refresher that Reece Walsh joined the Warriors from the Broncos after not getting a start. So we'll just determine where the Warriors have faced Brisbane in the past, and it seems... No, first time, you're right.
So, this will prove that he'll be hoping that he can get one up over his former team. The one that says, oh, he's not ready for first grade yet, has come out and he's played consistently since joining the Warriors.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's only missed like maybe 1 or 2 games, but very little.
Yeah.
But this one, trying to predict, is so hard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, easily the Broncos could turn it on, and off the back of Payne Haas and off the back of Kobe Hetherington, they could easily put the Warriors to the sword, and their right side could be a victim of that. But I think the way the Warriors have been playing and the resilience they have shown, that is probably one of the most united camps you could look at the moment. I think the Warriors come away 1-12 winners.
Well, the other thing, the Broncos have got our southwestern magnetic corner at the moment. Being up at Suncorp. I'm going to say the Broncos will win by a mere 6 points.
All right, so
it's tight.
It will be tight, but I think between the Warriors and the Broncos, but I think the Warriors have the edge, not just us with the cohesion and the Haas with Harris Tavita and Sean O'Sullivan at the moment, but also Fanua Blake leading the charge. That has been the power game advantage.
Yeah, and the Broncos
that's showing they can take it the top teams as well. Like, they almost beat the Roosters last week, for God's sake. So I can give it to the Warriors. If I can give it to the Roosters, they should be able to beat the Warriors, I believe.
And on that note, that is your NRL round 22-23 debrief. Join us coming up after this. It's on tomorrow. We'll have your Betfred Super League round 19-20 debrief. Wakefield with the shock upset win over Warrington. And the Rivals round not that far away. We'll see you back soon.